All right, so let's dive right into this thing that's got everyone talking, right? Epic Games is really shaking things up with Quixel Megascans.
Definitely. Big changes happening.
I mean, these 3D scans, we all know them, they're incredible, but now they're headed over to Epic's new platform, Fab.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big deal. Strategically speaking, it's a fascinating move. Epic's been building this whole ecosystem around their creative tools, bringing Megascans into that under the Fab umbrella. It's a smart play.
And they're not wasting any time either. October 2024, it's like right around the corner
Yeah,
practically.
it is. But here's what makes it really interesting. Before this whole transition even happens, they're giving everyone a chance to grab any Megascans asset totally free.
Wait, for free? Like completely free?
Completely free. It's a limited time offer, though. It's almost like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like a last hurrah before everything moves over to Fab.
Okay, but I gotta ask, and this might sound dumb, but
Yeah.
why? This is incredibly generous. I mean it. What's the strategic thinking behind a massive giveaway like this? It's not every day a company just hands out their best stuff, top tier assets for free.
Right. No, it's a very smart move on their part, actually. When they offer everything for free like this, it's basically a huge incentive for creators to really dig into the entire Megascans library.
Makes sense.
It generates buzz, gets people using the assets, and then ideally, it hooks them into the Epic ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a
Damn.
massive onboarding campaign, but for Fab.
It totally is. Like, come try our stuff. It's free. So for anyone listening who hasn't jumped on this yet, you're saying there's, no catch. Just download and go.
Exactly. Head over to the Quixel Bridge platform while you still can and download whatever you want. Seriously, there are no restrictions. It's a fantastic opportunity to play around with some really, really high-quality assets.
Oh man, it's like a digital buffet. You just go in there and you load up your plate.
Right.
But okay, so the party's over eventually. The move to Fab happens. What happens to all the content that people, actually paid for on Quixel?
Good question.
Is it just gone?
No. Don't worry about that. Epic's been very clear about this. All previous purchases are going to transfer directly to users' Fab libraries.
Oh, okay. That's a relief.
So anything you got for free through Unreal Engine, you'll have access to that on Fab too.
Okay, good. So no one's losing anything they paid for, which is great. But it sounds like they're still making things pretty sweet for everybody once the transition's done and dusted, right?
Yeah, for sure. For the rest of 2024, every single Megascans asset on Fab will be available for free. Free as in totally free, under their standard license, of course.
Wow. Okay, free for the rest of the year. Even new stuff that's added.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It's strategic, right? It's to get users to really embrace Fab, become comfortable with the new platform, and that new pricing model.
Right.
Speaking of pricing, that's a big change. Right now, Quixel, they use that points system, which, I gotta be honest, it can be a little confusing sometimes. So what can users expect when it goes to a dollar-based model on Fab?
Well, they've given us some of the pricing details. Individual assets, those will start at $99.
Okay.
Asset packs, those will be $24.99 and up. And then the procedural asset kits, those will start at $4.99. Now, how this actually compares to their competitors, that's what we're going to have to see.
Yeah, for sure. And for independent developers, especially the ones working with, not a ton of money,
Right.
this could be huge. For better or worse, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it makes you wonder, though, is this move towards a dollar-based pricing model? Is this a sign of things to come for other tools in the Epic ecosystem? Is everything going this way?
That's a very interesting question. And honestly, we're just going to have to wait and see how it unfolds. Epic's known for shaking things up, disrupting things. So wouldn't be surprising,
But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on what this shift to Fab means for Megascans right now.
Okay, yeah, good point. One of the big things they've been talking about is tighter integration with Unreal Engine, specifically from 5.3 onward. Now, for people who might not be, super deep in the weeds on this stuff, the technical aspects, can you kind of break down what this actually means for their workflow, for their creative possibilities? What's going to change?
Sure. Imagine this. You've got Megascans, and it's just seamlessly integrated into Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
You're not bouncing back and forth between platforms, importing, exporting. Everything's just there.
Oh, nice.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Potentially even optimized for real-time use. This could be huge for speeding up prototyping, level design, those iteration cycles.
Yeah. That's got to be a dream for anybody who's dealt with those compatibility issues or those clunky workflows. I mean, it sounds amazing, but okay, even with all this talk about streamlining and this integration, are there downsides? Should we be thinking about those too? Could this limit creative control or flexibility maybe? in the long run.
Yeah. It's a good point to raise. Anytime you have a single company that starts to like dominate a sector, it raises those questions about monopoly, about creative control.
Yeah.
And while a tight Unreal Engine integration sounds great, and it could also limit how compatible things are with other game engines or other 3D software down the line, you know.
Right.
So it's a trade-off. That's something creators will just have to weigh.
Yeah, for sure. It is. It's a balancing act for sure. And speaking of balance, we've talked a lot about, the technical side of things. But what about the bigger picture here? Epic is making some bold moves, right? I can't help but wonder, I mean, does this move with Megascans, does it give them even more of an advantage? In the digital asset market, I mean.
It's a really good question and a valid concern, I think. Honestly, Epic Games is already a powerhouse, right? I mean, Unreal Engine is becoming like the standard.
Right.
And now they're bringing in Megascans. And I mean, that's arguably the leading library when it comes to photorealistic 3D assets.
That's up.
Under the same roof as Fab and all their other tools. It's big.
Huge. And we can't forget MetaHuman Creator either, right? Which plays directly into this whole ecosystem idea. For people who aren't familiar, though, can you give us like a quick rundown? What is MetaHuman Creator exactly?
Yeah, so basically it lets you create crazy, realistic digital humans. And you can customize them however you want.
Yeah.
And we're talking like super intricate details here. Facial features, body types, even down to individual strands of hair. It's really amazing.
And these aren't just like static models, right? You can actually like bring them to life.
Exactly. You can rig them, animate them, make them move around, interact, the whole 9 yards, and it looks real. It's been huge, really. Game developers, filmmakers, VR, it's a game changer.
So with Megascans moving over to FabDot, does that mean we're going to see MetaHuman Creator land there eventually too?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so far, Epic's keeping pretty quiet about that. They've been really open about the Megascans thing. But with MetaHuman Creator's future on Fab, who knows?
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, though. It would fit with their whole strategy, right? Centralizing all the tools, all the assets.
It's like they're creating this one-stop shop for like all things digital creation. Which, I don't know, it's kind of exciting. But even if MetaHuman doesn't end up moving, just this Megascans shift is massive, right? We're talking about potential industry-wide standardization here. Workflows, pipelines, the whole thing.
Exactly. Imagine like a future where you don't have to juggle all these different platforms and software programs, What if creators could do everything within one single ecosystem?
Oh, wow.
It could be revolutionary. Honestly, streamlined workflows, collaboration would be easier, more efficiency.
It's exciting, for sure. But, like anything, there are always two sides to every coin, right? What about potential downsides to this level of integration? Centralization, I mean. Could it actually, stifle innovation? Or limit choices, maybe in the long run?
These are good things to be thinking about, for sure. Anytime a single company becomes this dominant in an industry, you got to look at the potential impact on competition, on creative control.
Right, it's important.
Yeah, because if Epic controls, the game engine and the assets, and then potentially even the tools for character creation, does that mean we're limiting the creative landscape? Where does it end?
Yeah, and it's a tough one because they're providing powerful tools, accessible tools, which is great. But you're right, you also need a diverse market and a competitive one too. It's a tough balance to strike.
For sure. So for creators listening to this right now, where does this leave them? We've talked about grabbing those free Megascans, which definitely do that. But what else? What else should they be doing to prepare for all of this? Honestly.
Yeah.
Just familiarize yourself with Fab, play around with the platform a bit, get a feel for the interface, see how it works with your current workflow.
Yeah.
Epic's really good about providing documentation, tutorials, all that good stuff. So that's always a good resource.
Okay.
It's there if you need it.
And I imagine there's going to be an adjustment period for a lot of people going from, the Quixel platform over to Fab, especially the people who've been using Megascans for a long time.
Absolutely. Change is hard, But change can also be a good thing. It can lead to new ideas, new ways of doing things.
Yeah.
This whole transition, it might be the thing that pushes people to rethink their workflows.
Right.
To explore new possibilities. Maybe they'll even discover more efficient ways of working. Who knows?
Exactly. You got to adapt, right? Got to evolve as the industry changes. So we've talked about the impact on professional creators, but what about, hobbyists, indie devs, people working with, maybe not a ton of money? How does this shift to a paid model really affect them?
That's a great question. And it's an important one too, because while the free access to Megascans right now is amazing, we have to think long term. what happens to those creators with limited budgets? A year from now, 2 years from now, what's going to happen?
Big question mark.
It is.
Epic has mentioned that there will still be some free stuff on Fab in 2025, but the details are, they're vague at best.
It's very vague.
Like, what does that even mean? Is it going to be like a tiny little selection of the older assets, or like, will they have some kind of rotating freebie thing going on? We don't know.
Exactly. And this is important, right? Because this detail, it directly impacts aspiring developers, smaller studios.
Mm-hmm.
They need access to high-quality assets, but they also need those assets to be affordable. That's what allows for more creativity, more innovation at every level.
It really is. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, a year from now, 2 years from now. Is there going to be enough free content to keep those hobbyists engaged, to keep new creators coming in, trying things out, or will this paid model, will that end up being a barrier to entry? What do you think?
I think that's the big question, right? And Epic has always, at least they've said, that they want to be a champion for all creators.
Right.
Not just the big studios with tons of money.
Right.
So how do they find that balance between giving people these professional tools, which is great, but also, making sure that the creative landscape is diverse and accessible, too. It's a tough one.
It really is. It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
But okay, so while we wait to see how this whole free content situation shakes out, I'm curious about something else, and maybe you have some thoughts on this. We've talked about the good stuff, the potential benefits here, right? Streamlined workflows, more people have access to these amazing tools. But what about the other side of that? Are there drawbacks, things that maybe we're not thinking about that creators should be wary of as all of this unfolds,
That's a good question. One thing that comes to mind is, creative homogenization.
Okay, interesting.
Because when you have one platform that's dominant and workflows that become standardized, there's always that risk that we start to see less creative expression.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. If everyone's using the same tools, the same assets, drawing from the same pool of resources, basically, do we start to lose those unique styles? Do things start to look the same?
It's possible.
Right.
It's a really good point. It's like it's like too much choice can be bad, but too little choice can also be bad, So it really comes down to the creators, right? To push those boundaries, even within these environments that, like you said, might become more and more standardized as time goes on.
Exactly. The tools are just tools.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's the artist, their vision,
Yeah.
and how they use those tools. That's where real creativity comes from.
So true. So true. So to wrap things up here, what's like the one big takeaway, the thing you really want listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's this. Stay informed, stay curious, and don't be afraid to just try things, experiment. This whole thing with Megascans and Fab, it's a big deal. It's a huge shift in the digital art world.
It is.
It can be incredibly empowering for creators. It really can. But you have to approach it, with open eyes, Be enthusiastic, but also be willing to think critically about what it all means.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And hey, while we figure all of that out, we might as well enjoy this all-you-can-download Megascans buffet while it lasts, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's such a cool opportunity to play around, experiment, see what works. Who knows? You might even discover your next big thing.
Exactly. Maybe these late-night rendering sessions, all fueled by free Megascans, maybe those are going to spark the next generation of, amazing games, incredible films,
Yeah.
crazy digital experiences. We'll have to wait and see. But until then, happy creating, everyone.